Hey there guys, and welcome to the post-commentary recording of Barbara, the full Anno Orlando Alchemist, here outside the Door of Truth. What you're seeing here is my 27th, I do believe, attempt to defeat the final boss of this game. As such, you'll notice that when I was playing this, I was with a complete lack, shall we say, of any discernible degree of patience. Hence why I'm sprinting straight towards Black Knight. I mean, back in the main game, this is something I never would have done, but yeah. At this point, I was pretty damn pissed off and I'd gone completely silent, hence the post-commentary. On the other side, Red Sword of Adonius! Motherfucker. Combined with the Hornet's Ring for extra critical attack damage. I'm also using the Black Knight shield at this point, because I have every single goddamn piece of their armour and all of their weapons, due to the sheer amount of times I've done this little gauntlet. So yeah, it's an interesting setup. Basically, you've got a series of 5 Black Knights, each one wielding a different type of weapon. From your basic sword, through to your great sword, which I believe this chap has. Yeah, he's got the Black Knight's great sword. But he's incredibly slow and almost never hits me. Well, doesn't even hit my shield, I don't think. He might have done it in this run, I'm not sure. Yeah. Where was I going with this? So yeah, you got a gauntlet of the 5 Black Knights, all with the different types of weapon and shit. And you go through all of them. These are Lord Gwyn's finest knights, his grand protectors and whatnot. People who burnt alive when he threw his own soul on the remains of the fire to try and rekindle it, and achieved a rather spectacular result. All this ash here is the remains of the army that went with him to hold off the various monsters and whatnot that had begun spawning as the flames of the Age of Fire died out. So it's a mixture of human, giant, and various monster ash. Yeah. First time I did this, I tried to fight the guy in there. I won, just about, because he walked off the edge, but still. Not a good idea to fight you out there if you don't really have to. I think he's using the Black Knight's long sword, I want to say. Yeah, I think it's the long sword. The first guy you fight has the basic sword, then the great sword, then I think it's the long sword. Not entirely certain. Actually, that's the point, is it? No, it's not 5, it's 6 of them, isn't it? This guy's a repeat. He's just got the same basic sword as the first guy I killed. That's it. Also slightly less health. Well, that's because they thought people were actually going to be stupid enough to fight him out here on this death platform catwalk thing, which is half crumbled. Don't see why anyone would ever attempt to do that. Again, I suppose you don't really have... Actually, you do have a choice. I mean, even if you don't have a bow and arrow or something to lure him out onto solid ground, you just run into his aggro range and then bugger off and he'll follow you onto solid ground. Yeah, down there's where Lord Gwyn is. He's not actually loaded at this point, though. I don't think he actually appears until you step through the front gate. Just saying, really, because there's a couple of positions you could technically get high enough to shoot over this wall and pepper him with arrows. I know it probably wouldn't do anything, it's like the stray demon in the asylum. Even if you got the bow and arrow, you can't actually hurt it through those bars. You can hit it, but you can't hurt it. Its health bar doesn't load until you're actually in the boss area. Alright, this dude, I do believe, is the Great Axe Wielder. Yeah, Great Axe Wielder. Ow! Yeah, I take one full on the face there, because despite the fact he's using a heavier weapon than pretty much everyone else who's come before him, he tracks a lot faster, which is kind of irritating. Do I manage the second backstab? I do! My goodness. Like a goddamn G6, man. Boss of this game, don't you know? I think when I actually finish this, the amount of times I've done it, I've got like 20 of every rare type of Titanite because of this. I am in the new game plus at this point. I had a quick go after I finished this final boss. And in the space of about 2 hours, I got all the way to the gargoyle fight. I mean, how long did that take me when I did the game properly? I mean, even, counting the time you guys didn't see where I was leveling up, that took another Black Knight halibut. Seriously, I've got about 6 or 7 of those bloody things. They always drop. It's ridiculous. And as you see, I'm using the parry dagger. I'm not very good with it, hence the fact I stand out here practicing with it for a while, watching the utterly bizarre twisty motion that Barbara does. Not sure how that would stop anything, let alone a greatsword attack. But it works. It was probably, I ran into this thinking this was going to be a horrendously bad idea because I hadn't practiced with the parry dagger at all. all I knew was that the animation was longer, and so presumably I'd have more chance to successfully block. I mean, I fuck up like 3 or 4 fucking times. I stand there waggling with it and almost get grabbed into the combo of doom, which wouldn't have been particularly nice. Wiggle, 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 wiggle. Boom, there he goes, and great sword of Adorius to the balls for almost 1,000 damage. But I am the final boss. Not you, Gwen, me. It's always been me. Like, there we go. Just by pure luck, I managed to block the thrust attack, which, I gotta admit, I didn't even know you could block. Well, not block, parry. Same difference. I keep fucking mistiming it. But then I suddenly get that one. Just by pure luck again. Like a quarter of my, well, not even a quarter of my health. It's a quarter heart run, you could call it. Ooh, fuck. And I get the timing for that, not on purpose, but because I was busy drinking Estus and it delayed me pushing the button. Somehow he misses me entirely with that swing. I'm not sure what happened there. I think there's an invincibility frame shortly after you finish an Estus flask. But yeah, you have no idea how happy and shocked I was that worked. Seriously, the 26 times previous to this, when I was running there with like shields and being cautious and looking around things, I'm very happy, as you can tell. I think at this point I was yelling at the television screen, "Suck it, Gwen! Suck it!" Which, again, might have been hilarious for you guys to listen to, but I'd already stopped recording by that point. Well, stopped recording my audio anyway. I did, however, bring my special ensemble, which I planned to wear for the final cutscene of the game. Black Knight leggings, there you go. It's also the ensemble I'm using for my second playthrough. Though I'm thinking I'm using the silver tracer instead of the parry dagger for the most part. But yeah, knight leggings for a bit of defense, and the rest of it looked cool. Still using my greatsword. Should I link the fire and sacrifice my soul to prolong Lord Gwen's legacy? It's a tough question. But I think I have an answer. And it goes a little something like this, really. Basically, bye, Age of Fire. Love you. Let's bring in the dark. Hope you've all got a thermal set of underwear on. It's gonna get cold up in here. Nah. Actually, no, I gotta save the laugh for the big finale. Wait for it. Final cutscene time. How pimp do I look? Seriously. Look at something out of Devil May Cry. I don't like that game series, but...
My lord, bless thy safe return.
Suddenly penis snakes everywhere. That's right, all the penis belong to Barbara.
We are here to serve.
Like Keith? Fuck's Keith? I'm so happy about it all. How awesome does that look? Again, wrong to play with aesthetics in Dark Souls, but still.
Let true dark be cast upon the world.
That's right.
Returns.
Ooh, motherfucker. That's right, folks, it's time for Zoe's review of the hour. Haven't done one of those in quite some time, but this game of all things definitely seems like the kind of time to bring that old chestnut back out of the bag. Now, what did we think of Dark Souls? Now, towards the end of this series of Let's Play, I would have been complaining a lot about the technical aspect of Dark Souls. So let's briefly reiterate those, shall we? Hit detection. Goddamn awful. A lot of the bigger weapons especially had terrible issues with clipping and with not registering hits properly. The great swords especially. I never really used the halibuts, but they had some issues as well. Spears, surprisingly, fairly damn accurate. But I suppose those were, specifically coded for. But yeah, some definite issues going on with hitboxes and things. not registering hits and whatnot. Some general things, the ease with which sometimes your characters and or your weapons hitbox will become detached. Now those of you who've ever attempted speedrunning in older games will know exactly how hitbox manipulation can be used to your advantage. But in this case it was generally to my detriment. My hitbox would become detached on the side of a wall or something, and even though I was standing behind the enemy, they'd swing, hit the wall, and I'd take damage. Or it would register as a strike against my shield, just out of nowhere. Because as I said, the hitbox was stuck in the middle of the wall somewhere, even though my character model was not standing anywhere near the blow. Other general complaints, the PvP didn't really seem to have been thought out very well. I mean, most systems, they search out opponents and whatnot based on connective strength and whatnot, and to ensure that you've got a good chance of actually, having actual combat. Whereas the Dark Soul method just seems to grab anyone who's, particularly available and chucks you against them. Which means you have a lot of systems like where I had, where I'd be walking around and their character model would be standing directly in front of me, but all of a sudden the backstab animation would happen, because on their end, I'd just been standing there blankly, presumably, while they'd walked around behind me. Which is absolute bollocks, to be quite frank. I mean, terribly, terribly broken system. So the PvP in general was very annoying. The fact that I couldn't, leave myself signed in to reply to messages from, folks on the friends list and all that kind of business. Because if I did leave myself signed in, especially if I'd, become human and whatnot, more accurately, in order to, try out the game summoning system. Now the co-op is awesome, like I say. That was a brilliant idea. The idea you can, merge into other people's games randomly to help them, and even the fact you're limited in how you could communicate. I think the addition of, talky stone things, that was a terrible idea. It was much better we had to communicate purely through gestures. It was, made it work much harder and helped you sort of bond with these random folk you've just come across. Brilliant idea, that. The PvP thing was horrible. Especially because you get people who have specifically just leveled up, like, their attack strength or their health. So they get, especially combined with the laggy internet problem, they're guaranteed to one-hit kill you, and even if you do manage to land a blow, it's not even going to scratch them. That sort of crap. Also, I do believe that the PvP thing is the reason the elemental weapons, their side effects were severely reduced, apparently. Originally, the elemental weapons were much more awesome. There was, a big reward for having, gone through the effort to find the Titanite and upgrade them and stuff. Especially against certain bosses which had elemental weaknesses. They still do, but because the effects of the elements have been reduced over various patches to stop people completely, taking the piss. Yeah. Kind of a downer. That's on the plus side. Beautiful design. The fact the entire map is always loaded is amazing. Brilliant achievement there, guys. The story is interesting, but very hard to get into because it's only being told through loading screens and item descriptions. Very interpretive, I suppose, which is a good thing, for the most part. But yeah, it can be a bit of a downer. Say, no one's having a good time in the Dark Souls universe. Yeah. I'll say I chose the Dark Lord ending. Inheritor of the Dark Soul and all that, so we'll see how that works out. Okay. Anything else to say real quick? Speaking of the Dark Soul, from what I understand, a bit of random lure stuff going on now. From what I understand of it, the Dark Soul itself is presumably the final soul taken by the Pygmy. The Dark Soul itself is it's a soul, it's sort of like the soul of the Abyss, the heart of the Abyss, as I understand it. A person in possession of the Dark Soul would be able to draw upon the power of the Abyss and amplify it through their own humanity to achieve quite ridiculous feats of strength and magic and all the rest of it. It's arguable that your character is in possession of the Dark Soul, hence why they're able to destroy the former lords. Even though they are, reduced in power, of course, but still, even a regular human, even a strong one, shouldn't be able to stand against all of the lords and win. Which our character did. Well, any of the player characters do. Also, personally I'm of the belief that Manus himself was probably was the Pygmy. I'm presuming that he was the original possessor of the Dark Soul. Hence why he was, not instantly killed by going into the Abyss, and where he could draw power from it, and why it gave him such amazing and ridiculous power. I do wonder if, if this game continues on this same storyline, because was the Dark Souls 2 announced. If it continues on the same storyline, I'm wondering if the player character would eventually learn to do what Manus did and draw upon the Abyss to, get all sorts of weird and wonderful new abilities. And I sort of doubt it, because that's really not the way From seem to work. They like to make their games very difficult and challenging, and if you could change into a giant, black fire-breathing beast from the deepest bowels of the blackest beyond, the sort of thing that would take the challenge out of it. But oh well. So I could sit here and talk about the story for quite a while. That is a good accomplishment. I mean, there's a lot of speculation involved. Admittedly, it's speculation caused by the fact you're not giving out much information, but, if you're presenting it well enough that people do still want to talk about it, then yeah. Definite plus on your account there, From Software. You can just get your shit together in regards to the technical stuff, it'll be amazing. Oh, and I know obviously, you were doing the whole we're hard games thing, so you don't like tutorials. But seriously, just one or two examples of why stuff like the backstabs and the parrying and all the rest of it are actually worth learning to do, rather than getting to the end of the game as I did and realising that I can't beat the final boss unless I know to use a gimmick you've never shown me. Yeah, that was a bad decision, guys. Sorry to tell you. Yeah, I think we'll pretty much leave it there. Oh, wait, someone wanted me to do a quick comparison between Dark Souls and Dragon's Dogma. Now, I gotta admit, Dragon's Dogma is still my favourite game. Dark Souls was fun, and definitely challenging, but also just the wrong shade of infuriating for my tastes. I like to be challenged, I like to be punished for making mistakes. What I don't like is being forced to repeat the same thing over and over again. Not through my own fault, but because of a game glitch, or the game's locked up on me a couple of times as well, which doesn't help, in the middle of boss fights and things. The camera is also very badly coded, it tends to get stuck behind bosses. So in addition to not knowing, what they're doing, you can't see where you are in relation to what they're doing, so you don't know where you should be blocking or running or dodging or whatever. It's not cool to lose, 20,000 souls, because a boss that your camera's stuck behind the arse of has just used an unblockable death move that you couldn't even see. But yeah, Dragon's Dogma, generally much more fun than this game. It seems to be crafted with... they're different games, really. Dark Souls is designed to always be challenging. Leveling is semi-pointless, to be quite frank. Because everything's designed to be able to kill you pretty damn quickly, regardless of what you do. But, yeah. So, like I say, the combat's a fair deal less interesting than Dragon's Dogma, but you haven't got the variety and the different things, and yeah, I think it's more fun, just in general, Dragon's Dogma. Dragon's Dogma's got a much better sense, well, it actually has a sense of humour. So it's all very, I'm all for, sort of grim and gritty. But I think you need something in there that holds the interest, rather than just, I say, repeatedly getting your ass kicked, and then talking to people who are all depressed because they were also getting their asses kicked. But yeah. Yeah, I know there are a couple of bosses I didn't beat as well while I think about it. I did not beat Calamite the Black Dragon because, seriously, fuck dragons. Really. I've got no time for them anymore. Not in this game, at least, anyway. Might go back to Dragon's Dogma and go around using various spells to smash wyverns into trees and things. That is something that is missing from this game, a sense of grandeur. Within your character, at least, anyway. I know people have told me I've missed out on some of the higher level spells and things. But even the top tier pyromancy, which I did get at least some of, not exactly... I suppose flashy is the wrong word, that sounds very shallow, but you want a sense that your character has really developed, they've gained strength and power, and that's all something this game fails to deliver. No matter how strong your character gets, you never really get the impression that they are becoming a force to be reckoned with. Which again, I know is again part of the whole thing, the idea that you are supposed to be drastically outmatched at all turns, but still, it will be a little nice, from. It throws a bone here and there. Even if, even if you don't make the spell or whatever actually very damaging, keep the challenge. Just being able to summon a tornado of fire, that would be amazing. But again, I know, you tend to reserve that sort of thing for the boss creatures. No, whatever. Speaking of boss creatures, don't reuse character models. I know you do it because you have to save space, there's only so much space on the disc, and most modern games are ridiculously bloody large. Even having like file names as a single character. You're pretty limited to what you can put in, but yeah. If you got into a stage where you realise you can't put in any more, you know, character models and behaviour patterns and whatnot, without requiring 2 discs, go Frank, give me 2 discs. I did it just fine on the PlayStation. I mean, I've got stuff up there. You know, 3-4 disc Final Fantasy games. I'm quite happy to swap discs mid-game, if you need to do that, in order to keep things fresh and original, but don't get lazy and start, you know, putting a different texture patch on the same enemy, and just reusing that. I mean, the Asylum Demons, what? Asylum Demon, Stray Demon, Fire Sage. I'm pretty sure he gets reused somewhere else as well. That's at least 3 times, you know. It's not good. Not good enough at all. Quite frank, guys. Anything else? Considering all the crap that was, you know, spouted in various things about how awesome Artorias was, it would have been nice, and helped build up a bit of tension actually, if we could have seen him in action before Manus drove him mad. I mean, other than seeing him stab one guy brutally. Perhaps if we'd actually met him and, you know, seen him run around kicking ass for a bit. Perhaps even been able to summon him for like a mini-boss fight. Then have the added tragedy of this guy who you've come to look up to and respect. Then go mad. That would have been a bit more impactful. Rather than it turning out all the legends were basically lies because he got his arse kicked and driven mad in seconds as far as we're concerned. That's basically it. Yeah. Oh, following NPC storylines. You could do like a journal or something to keep track of exactly where you are and what's going on. Because it's quite often that you'll just randomly run into people, you'll talk to them, they'll mutter some nonsense at you and then vanish. Pure coincidence you find. I mean, actually, speaking of that, I did find Rhea, the miracle girl, down in the Tomb of the Giants. I knew she was supposed to be there, but I didn't know where. But I did eventually find her when I went back there to scavenge for goodies. Her Duke bodyguards had gone hollow and attacked me. Unfortunately, during the course of the fight, after I'm using a greatsword, so I got a quite big arc of attack kind of thing. I swung my sword, and yeah, apparently the backswing clipped her, just as I killed the last of her bodyguards, which meant she was now hostile to me, and wouldn't, you know, take a hint, so I was forced to kill her. Again, I've been told, now I've completed the game, I've looked things up, and I know that she would have sold, you know, top tier miracles to me. Doesn't matter, because I wouldn't have had the, what's the bloody word? Covenant level necessary to actually use them, but it would be nice to have them. Again, that's something that no one really mentions in the game, the idea that Covenants have levels. The only Covenant I'm aware of that really hints at it is probably the Warriors of Sunlight. I mean, I know there's Quilana, is it? The spider chick down in the demon ruins. I know she asks, well, she doesn't ask you, you get randomly told, you know, would you like to give us some humanity? Never says why you should bother doing that or if there's any benefit to it, so I never did. But I know it's much like the idea of giving sunlight medals to the Ultra of Sunlight. Except, like I say, with the Warriors of Sunlight thing, it explains it, it says, you know, just deepens your bond and eventually gives you more powerful sunlight-based spells. So you get your more powerful versions of your lightning and all that sort of thing. Yeah, I really don't want to call for any game to have more tutorials, but just a little something, you know, a character saying that, you know, members of Covenants give offerings to their leaders for, you know, better goodies. Perhaps phrased better, admittedly. But yeah, that would have been nice. And I've rabbited on about this a lot longer than I was expecting to. God damn. Well, anyway, I'm going to call it quits here for today. Thank you for watching. Next project will be... obviously I've got to actually start Dishonored again. Well, not start it again, but carry on from where it actually was. And what else have I got to do? Yes, I'm also going to be starting a game I just got on Steam called Velvet Assassin. It's a sort of surreal take on World War II as told through the eyes of a dying World War II female spy. British agent Violet Summers, I believe her name was. Looks pretty good. I've played a bit of it just before doing this, and I'm enjoying it so far. It's a lot more fluid than other Assassin games I've played. A bit clunky here and there. You got things like, you know, as long as you're in shadows, you can walk straight past people who are looking right at you, kind of thing. That's kind of silly, but still. I like it. It's fun. So that's probably going to be one of the next Let's Plays while I'm waiting for a Machine to Pigs to come out. Or a Machine for Pigs to come out. Jumping ahead of my sentence again there. So yeah. Thank you all for watching, comment, rate, subscribe and all that nonsense, and I shall see you next time. Oh, and I may post a few things here and there of me running around in New Game Plus, ruining people's days. So I look forward to that. Next time, folks. See ya. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No! It's a great sword of a glorious motherfucker! Babura! Babura! Suck it. Suck it, Dark Souls.